So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today with Prerna Richards, who's a coach, consultant, trainer, and international speaker. We're thrilled to bring you this webinar and talk a little bit more about connecting with children in your care. We have folks from all over the country, a couple from other countries as well. So again, welcome for this and welcome Prerna. I know you're going to get started here in a little bit, but first we're going to share a little bit about Kangarootime and myself and Marissa. I'm Richard Sherry. I work at Kangarootime Marketing. Along with Marissa, we're going to be here supporting Prerna, as well as taking any of your questions in the chat. So I'd just encourage you. You're muted and your camera is off intentionally. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. But real quick about Kangarootime. If you're new to our webinars, we create software for childcare centers to help you optimize your business. We help you manage many aspects of your business: billing and invoicing, staff scheduling, attendance tracking, reporting, and so much more. So if you're curious about Kangarootime, I encourage you to visit our website or reach out to us. We'd be happy to have a conversation. So a little bit about Prerna. Prerna Richards, like I had mentioned earlier, is a coach, a consultant, trainer, and international speaker. She's been in early childhood education field for the past 35 years. The majority of her experience was in NACE for accredited programs, and she's a great partner of ours, and we're very excited to hear from her. So thank you for being here again, Prerna. And before we get into it, just a couple of, Marissa, if you want to take us through some housekeeping.
Sure. I'm sure you guys are pros by now, but we do offer certificates because we know how important continued education is for you guys. So you will receive those tomorrow in the follow-up email along with the recording. And like Rich said, your microphone and camera are off, so don't worry about that. And if you have any questions, just enter it into the chat or Q&A, and we'll be on to help answer those throughout the webinar. But yeah, we'll kick it over to Prerna so she can get started. Today, she's going to be shifting from classroom management to child development and sharing some great strategies to help the teachers focus more on connecting with the children rather than compliance. So she's going to cover the difference between relationship-based versus supervision-based and explore the importance of being playful and joyful in your approach to child development. So welcome, Prerna. We're very excited to have you.
Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Rich. This is great. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. You were talking about that it's cloudy and gray over there. Well, it's cloudy and gray in Texas, so we're probably the same space. It does feel a bit coolish, though. I think the fall weather is coming. It does feel a bit coolish. So we have very few over here. So this should make it very personal. And so, yeah, feel free to ask questions and make it as meaningful, since very few are joining live and others will catch us on the recording, which is all good. You know, life is so busy these days, so we take it wherever we can get it, right? I'm going to share my screen to get the conversation started, just so that everybody is aware of the title. And if you haven't got anything to take notes, I think that'll be a lovely idea. Get something to take notes. That way you don't miss out on, there's so much research that if you write something, you're more likely to remember it, even if you never look at it again. Like, that's the crazy part about all this, right? So get something to take notes with. And in the chat, would you mind telling me your name, your organization that you work with, and what's your role? So that would really be lovely to know. Where are you from? Put it in the chat. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat because I do want to know what your name is, what your organization is, what's your role, and where are you joining from? So
Prerna, every time I get made fun of for taking hand notes now, I'm going to quote you, and I'll do the research. I have a notebook. It's a spiral. I'm old school, but it helps me remember. So thank you for making me feel good.
Rich, I'm going to bring you to the 21st century. So instead of the notebook, transfer to this thing called Remarkable. And this Remarkable is, I used to have notebooks for everything. So now this Remarkable, I'm going to show you what it does. It is your virtual filing cabinet. So I have, like, if you can see, I have files for all my different things. And each one of
Nice.
those files has a notebook. So
Okay.
remarkable. I should be getting some commission for
Remarkable.
selling remarkable everywhere. So
I just noted it in my spiral there. You can't read it, but you know,
see,
I'll move
remarkable.
into it. All
Check it
right.
out. It's worth it. So
Okay.
I haven't heard from anybody yet. Nobody's talking to us. Why is nobody talking to us? Where are you guys from? And what's your role? What's your organization? How come nobody's chatting? Am I host? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. All right. I wondered why it doesn't show everybody.
Maybe just a quiet group.
I know. Come on, guys. Let's hear
Let's
from
see.
you. What's your
I'll
role?
monitor the
Where are you
chat.
from? Yeah, put it in the chat. Nobody's talking
It's
to
not
us.
allowing us to put in the chat anything.
Oh, see, thank you, Tiffany. I also
Thank
couldn't
you.
see to write to everyone. That's why I was asking if I was host. I also can't see everyone.
And then also too, a lot of people register, but they're not able to join for some reason.
Oh, what's going on there?
boy. Well, I did fix the chat, so let me see if I can fix.
Okay. Thank you,
that.
Tiffany.
You see, this is the thing. We need feedback. Yeah, I still can't write to everyone, Marissa. If you fix the chat, my chat still doesn't say to everyone. It just says panelist, host, and panelist.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I updated that.
Okay.
And
Let's
I
see.
updated. Attendees should be able to chat with everyone, and panelists should be able to chat with everyone.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. Now we see it.
Thank
Here
you.
we are. Now we've got talking. So Shanika's collaborate. Oh, collaborative for children. I've done work for them in Texas. Yay. I'm happy that you're here. Beautiful. And then I wonder why the others can't join, because maybe Tiffany, you can send a message to Marissa what the message was when they were trying to join. Maybe she could try to look into that.
Yeah, let me just send out an email real quick to everyone who registered so they can.
Yeah,
hop on.
because this is, I'm wondering if what Tiffany's saying is happening to lots. They just can't get on and they're like struggling on the other side. All right, so keep it coming. Where are you from? What's your role? And where are you joining from? So keep it coming. I'll keep an eye on that, but I am going to get us started because I want to respect our time. For those who actually came, you know, there's nothing more frustrating like, hello, I am here. I am important. Talk to me. I am going to talk to you. So I want to start off the conversation. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to close this screen so that we can just talk. And I appreciate with keeping your camera on, because otherwise then I'll feel like I'm talking to a black screen here. So here's the thing. Are you currently a breathing organization? Are your students and your teachers breathing throughout the day? And if you're saying maybe sometimes, maybe not enough, let me just take a minute and remind everybody the importance of becoming a breathing program. So one of the things that I do, I'm a behavior coach, and I support children with challenging behaviors, one classroom at a time, one child at a time, the entire school, or that family who's struggling with that one child, right? The common thread with all of this is we need to be able to calm ourselves down when we get angry, frustrated, irritated, whatever the emotion that bubbles up. And guess what? Breathing happens to be a very natural way of doing that. And the part of this research that I read over the summer just absolutely shocked me. It said 80% of Americans are not doing enough deep breathing. 80%. 80% of us are doing shallow breathing. And why does that matter? That matters because we're not able to manage our stress. Our pace of life is hectic, lots of demands on us. And just starting the breathing program and the work we do is so important with young children, that just being able to remain calm, you can just absolutely change the dynamics of your building. So becoming a breathing program means you put it on your schedule. You have a daily schedule, write it next to it. And if you're a teacher, because you guys are not telling me what your roles are, I just heard from Collaborative for Children, which is, you know, in offices. So you can become a breathing organization. Even Kangarootime can become a breathing organization. Whether you have children or not, you can still breathe together throughout the day. Put it on your schedule, breathe throughout, and every time you breathe, you take 3 deep breaths. And the last part of this research, which is actually fascinating, is that when we stand up, our nerves in our feet, when they press on the ground, wakes up the brain for listening and learning. And we just finished saying today was cloudy and kind of gray. So we definitely need to breathe. So join me in breathing, stand up. Let's do this breathing together so that your feet are touching the ground. And I have a this little gadget to breathe with, but you can just expand your hands as you go. Here we go. Take a deep breath in. Here we go. And another one. And the last one, let's send a heart breathing to whoever needs some love, whether it's you or somebody who comes into your attention. Let's send them some good thoughts. Here we go. Thank you for joining. All right. So please become a breathing program and you will see absolutely dramatically change, how wonderful things can happen in your program.
Apparently I need to practice my breathing technique.
There you
Thank
go.
you for making me aware of that.
See, you know what I heard the other day? That even the smart watches now tell you, take a breath. Like they're literally telling people now, which I didn't realize.
I didn't know that either. That's pretty cool.
Thanks, Dawn. Hey, Dawn, you're here. I wonder if it's the same Dawn. Is this Dawn from Collabs for Children? Anyway, I'm happy you're here, Dawn. See, when there's very few people, I can get very squirreled and sidetracked. So I'm not going to, but I'm happy to see your name. All right, here we go. So I'm going to continue with this. And who remembers what percentage of the brain gets wired birth to 5? Anybody remembers? Yes, Collapse. My friend Dawn is here. I love it. All right. So who remembers what percentage of the brain is getting wired or developed birth to 5? Anybody want to take a guess? All right, I'm going to tell you guys. I'm just going to remind you guys, 90%. 90% of the brain is wired birth to 5. So the programs that we serve, because everybody joining here is serving in some capacity early childhood programs. The children that we are touching, their foundation for who they're going to become as they grow up is happening birth to 5. So if, for example, you are a problem solver, if you are a critical thinker, if you're a creative thinker, if you like risk, you don't like risk, you avoid challenges, you're okay with challenges, you trust people, you don't trust people, you make friends easily, you don't make friends, whatever it is that makes us who we are, that foundation is laid birth to 5. It's the craziest thing because children birth to 5 have zero control in who's wiring their brain. They have no control on who their teachers are. They have no control who what their environment does, but yet that foundation is laid based on that adult. And if that adult knows better, they do better, and we get lucky and we go through life with these skills that we need. Or we get unlucky and we don't have these skills and we struggle for the rest of our life. You know how many people end up in therapy to correct what happened in their childhood? It's crazy. And I'm grateful for therapists and I'm grateful for counselors. But here's the deal. It's much harder to fix it when you get older than it is to raise the children right. And so that's our conversation today. I want us to remember how incredibly powerful these early years are. And I want us to remember that we need to become more intentional and more meaningful in how we do these things. So I have come up with a theory all by myself. I'm very proud of this. I have created this all by myself. I didn't copy it from anybody. I didn't learn it from anybody, but I've been traveling for the last few months. And luckily I went to 3 beach places. The conferences were at beach places. And so wherever I go, that place inspires me to reflect and introspect. So here's what I've been thinking recently, and I would be curious to know, the people who are joining, if you have seen this from your perspective and what you think of my analogy and if you agree with it or don't agree with it. So I've been getting a lot more calls for behavior because I do behavior coaching. And so I'm staying very busy, which I'm very grateful for the work. But I'm also sad that there is a great increase in behaviors and pushbacks. So what is going on? Why is the behaviors increasing? Why are the pushbacks increasing? What is going on in this early childhood space? So here's my understanding. There's this island, but by definition, it's an island. So it's by itself, it's isolated, right? This island is the language research island. We have all heard the language development research. Talk to the baby, sing to the baby, rhyme to the baby, talk, 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 talk to the womb, talk, 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 talk. We've all got the message. Hopefully, everybody on this call has got the message, the importance of talking to babies and children. But that's an island. Then there's another island, which is the cognitive island. The cognitive island is your numbers, colors, shapes, all the things that you want children to learn developmentally, kindergarten ready, 4-year ready, 3-year ready, 2-year ready, like all the milestones, all the things that they should learn and understand. But that again is an island. So Rich, since you're the only one that has your camera on, I'm going to ask you this question. What would connect two islands?
Oh, a bridge, just
There
an
you go.
obvious sort of, there you go.
There you go.
That's all right.
Okay.
Whew.
That was a hard
Man.
question. You survived. Okay, see, this is you getting in training for taking it on. So here's the thing. We need a bridge. From my understanding, the bridge is where we develop the executive function skills. The bridge is where the skills I just labeled, problem solving, attention, focus, critical thinking, perseverance, tenacity, grit, all these life skills, growth mindset, fixed mindset, these are all executive function skills, and they're getting developed here. But this bridge is the SEL, social emotional learning. If we don't have control over our emotions, if I can't pay attention and I can't be focused, I can't learn anything. So based on where they are in their brain states, are they in their survival brain? Are they in the emotional brain? That's how they show up. And this bridge is what the work of early childhood is. If we can give them a strong bridge, they can then access both the islands. Right now, a lot of the kids are falling in between the islands. Neither they can master the language, neither they can master the cognitive because the behaviors get in the way. But if we can give them a strong SEL, strong bridge, which will develop the executive function skills, now we're going to have kids developed who can thrive in this world. So knowing that 90% of the brain is getting wired birth to 5, how important does it then become that we are aware of how to develop this bridge? Like intentionally, we should be doing things to master developing this bridge. And if we can do that, then when they're 4, when they're 5, when they're 8, when they're 10, when they're 25, they will have what they need because they have a strong foundation. So what do you guys think? Does this analogy make sense? Does it explain? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts on this analogy that our job in early childhood is to develop bridge? Nobody's going to talk to me today.
Well, I liked it. Partially, you know, I'm a parent of 2, and I could certainly learn a thing or two, but in terms of helping out from a parent perspective.
Beautiful. So you're a parent of 2. How old are your children?
I'll call them 6.5 and 4.5.
You know, the bridge building is so key for those years. The bridge building is so critical because even though 90% of the brain is getting wired by 5, 6.5 is not that far.
Right.
And yeah, thank you for sharing that you're a parent, because this message is for parents and educators, is for anybody. If we can recognize how to build this bridge, and yes, we're here to close the gaps. Yes, agreed, Don. Exactly. Our job as early childhood educators, no matter if you're a teacher, director, a resource person, a parent, a grandparent, it doesn't matter. If we have young children and we can become intentional and develop this bridge, we can set them up for success. So I'm going to share practical strategies on how we can develop this bridge. So let's start with really understanding that we have to bring this SEL vocabulary in their life and in their world. Every time I say SEL, quite often people will say, SEL just means knowing how I'm feeling and getting along with people and just making friends. It's so much more. It's so much more. And if we can't do that, we can get to the learning brain. So just really quickly to recap, our survival brain is here. When we get scared and anxious, we end up here. Our emotional brain is here. Any emotion I experience, frustration, irritation, joy, excitement, sadness, it's all coming from the center of my brain. Then the learning brain is here. But if I'm spending majority of my time here or here, my learning brain is not getting wired. It just makes sense. So giving them the vocabulary is the first thing we need to do. How do we give them vocabulary? We read books about it, we bring it into their life. And because of our time, I'm only going to share 4 of them, but there's so many more. All the executive function skills that I labeled, we can unpack each one of those and teach them. So the first one is co-regulation. Co-regulation is when the grown-up understands and recognizes what the child is feeling and helps them. I'll give you an example. I'm going to go with Miss Audrey. She's in the 3-year-old classroom, and I see Sarah. I was in her classroom when this happened. I see Sarah, they're making a little popsicle thing, and she's gluing on the tacky glue to make the popsicle frame, and it's getting stuck on her fingers. And Sarah's getting irritated. She's doing this, and she's pushing the paper, and she's kicking the chair, and she's getting this, and she's like, oh, all this is happening. And Miss Audrey, to her credit, recognizes this, and she says, Sarah, it looks like you're getting a little frustrated. Would you like to take a break? That's co-regulation. So she can notice something is off. And let me just slide in here now. Sarah gets up and she goes to the calm down area basket. If you don't have a calm down area basket at your home or in your school or in your program, you need to have this. If you're going to teach children the SEL vocabulary, you also have to have tools where they can self-regulate. So I have this. This, by the way, I use for my grandkids. I have 3 grandkids, 2.5, 4.5, and 9. And I use it for all of them. And so we have a squishy stress ball in here. We have this little magnet thing that, makes you focus and move the little bead. It also has little cards that you get from Discount School Supply that says, I can take a break, I can walk away, I can jump up and down. They also have things like a timer. I'm just going to watch the sand coming down. So, and it has a snow globe. So it has all these things. It has fidget toys that she could use to calm herself. So that's what Sarah did. She walked over there, played with some fidget toys, came back and completed it without pushback. That was co-regulation in action. Co-regulation is the space where the grown-up and the child develop a trust and a safe place. Then the children start feeling comfortable that, okay, this grown-up understands how I'm feeling. I'm safe with this grown-up. This grown-up understands how to help me, right? And so co-regulation is a big part of setting them up for success for self-regulation. So now moving on to this word self-regulation. If you hear this word self-regulation, what does that mean to you? Does anybody want to tell me what this word self-regulation means to you? Any ideas? What could it mean? All right, so self-regulation has 3 parts. The first part is knowing how I'm feeling. I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm upset, I'm irritated, I'm frustrated. Knowing how I'm feeling. And the second part is what caused it. And the third part is what can I do about it? So we have to give our children this vocabulary, and we have to give them practice time. That's what's going to build the bridge, right? So self-regulation, know what I'm feeling, what caused it, and then how can I help myself? Use it throughout the day. When you see a child able to recognize, I'll give you a very specific example. I was in a coaching room, classroom, and the little guy woke up from nap and he was cranky, and he came to the snack table and he was clearly not happy, and he started pushing the snack and pushing the tables, and then he ate the snack, but then he started crying. And the teacher was able to ask him, what happened? What's going on? And he said, I'm hungry. So he knew he was angry, and he said, I'm so angry. And the teacher said, why are you so angry? And he said, I'm hungry. So he knew he was angry. He knew he was hungry, and that's why he was angry, but he didn't know how to help himself. So the teacher was like, okay, you're hungry. Let me get you some food. In the meantime, if you're really, really angry, so she has a high five on her classroom wall. Like she has traced a hand and she's got it just slightly out of the reach of the kid's hands. And she told him, she said, now you can jump up and down and give yourself a high five on the wall while I get your snack. So he could process the anger out of his body while she got the snack for him to be able to self-regulate, right? That's self-regulation in action. I'm giving you the vocabulary, I'm bringing it to life, and I'm allowing you time to practice it. That's building the bridge. The second one is self-control. When we're talking about self-control with children, we can say to them, self-control means controlling my feet, controlling my legs, controlling my hands, controlling my arms, most of all, controlling my mouth. Because I'm not talking back, I'm not being sassy, I'm not having a full of attitude, I am having self-control. When they're sitting in circle time, when they're lining up, you could say, show me self-control. Let's look at self-control right now. Do a body check right now. Are you doing self-control right now? Is your body bothering your friend? Are you in your friend's space? Are you touching somebody that you don't need to be touching right now? Are you distracted right now? Let's pay attention. Let's show me self-control. It's really important to introduce this vocabulary and give them practice time, but you got to bring it to life for them. And by the way, I use this vocabulary with my grandkids at home. So it's not just in a classroom setting. Let's just show self-control right now. Can we manage that? Let's show that. And I think it's really good to also use the word, let's do a self-check. So the grown-up doesn't have to tell the child all the time how self-control and self-regulation looks. The other day, my granddaughter got really upset. And I said, then she was like able to use one of the squishy balls. And I heard her do this. Clearly, we've been breathing in our family. So she was doing the breathing. And I said, I'm so proud of you. You knew you were upset and you calmed yourself down. You were doing self-regulation. I'm so proud of you, right? So describing it to them in action, that's self-control. The impulse control, again, I would tell them impulse means an urge and my brain is stronger than my hand. And my brain can tell my hand not to do something if I need to impulse control myself. My granddaughter, Nalini, who's 4, had a flashlight and she was pressing this flashlight, and every time she pressed it, it had batteries in it, so it would make this awful sound. It was awful sound. And she kept doing it, and her dad was getting irritated. And her dad kept saying to her, now stop it, no more, now stop it. And she kept doing it, she kept doing it. So we were in a car, and I heard her dad say it, and I know she heard her dad say it. And I said, Nalini, here's the new game. Do you want to play a new game? She was all in. She's like, yeah, I want to play a new game. What is it? And I said, here's the game. Your brain is stronger than your thumb. But the game is, you got to see if your brain is stronger, your thumb is stronger. Every time your thumb wants to press this button, I want your brain to tell the thumb, don't do it. Can you do that? She said, yes. And so she was all ready. And she sat watching her thumb. And then I heard her say a few minutes later, don't do it. Don't do it, thumb. Thumb, don't move, thumb. Don't move, thumb. She got all into it. And then a few minutes later, she said to me, Ami, my brain is winning. I haven't let my thumb win once so far. My brain is winning, right? Impulse control in action. Children don't understand the concept of self-talk. Adults have it all the time. If I really want to have an ice cream sundae for lunch, I can tell myself, Prerna, walk away. You don't need it. Walk away. Children don't know that. Children don't know that we have a strategy called self-talk. And that's how we can control our impulses. We can self-control ourselves. We can self-regulate ourselves by our self-talk. If I get stressed out, I can tell myself, you're okay. Take a deep breath, Prerna. Be safe. If we can tell them the strategy to the children, don't we think that we would help them build the bridge? Because now I know how I'm feeling. Now I know how to regulate myself. And I don't have to depend on the grown-up to tell me when I'm frustrated, what can I do to self-help? And it's all done through play and imagination. A great one, this is a really good one. If you haven't done this, do it at home. The games, right? The red light, the green light, the Simon Says, all of these are follow the directions, but they're also working on impulse control and self-control. The freeze dance, how fun is a freeze dance to do in a classroom or the family? Just put on funky music, do a freeze dance, but you're helping them to gain control of their bodies in a fun, imaginative, creative way with the intention of building the bridge. That's our job. That's what we're doing, giving them chances to strengthen it. Does that make sense? Yes, any questions, any wonderings? We're good? Should I keep going? Awesome.
Great. I just have one question. My
Yeah.
wife, when she interacts with my boys, her ability to distract them and get them sort of playing a game in a different direction is unmatched. I need to work on that, but it always gets them over the hump of, you know, an overreaction or emotional. I just need to start using a better vocabulary, I suppose. But the power of distraction or just redirect attention is phenomenal.
You know what,
Based on what I've seen.
I'm so happy you brought that up, Rich, because here's the reason why the distraction works, because in that moment, the children are given a choice. And choice equals voice. In that moment, the power struggle goes. So the distracting is great, but if you can't think of something to distract them, I also like to just have a choice in that moment. So,
Okay.
you know, the other day, a little guy was having a stubborn moment of defiance. The teacher wanted him to wash hands and he didn't want to wash his hands. And there was this back and forth going on. Wash your hands, no, that was basic, right? And then the teacher just said, okay, you can either walk to the sink yourself or you could hold my hand and walk to the sink. But we're walking to the sink. Do you want to hold my hand or do you want to walk by yourself? In the moment, he just thought for a minute and he said, I'll walk myself. Okay, done, go. By the way, this works with 9-year-olds too, because I had my granddaughter sleeping over the other day and I had to take her to school and I had forgotten how hard it is to get the morning going with a child at home. Oh, it's so sluggish. She didn't want to get out of the bed and she was just like, no. I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, Ava, do you want to jump off the bed from this side or do you want to jump off the bed from that side? Because I really was going to be just fine. I just wanted her off the bed. And she said, I'm going to jump from there. Done. So distraction, redirection, and choices can be so powerful in that moment because it stops the power struggle and it gives them some control. And that's giving, you know, that's putting them back with the focus and attention. Beautiful. So I'm going to keep us going. Number 3, I promised you 5. So I got to give you 5. Otherwise you're going to be like, you say something and you don't deliver. So I got to deliver 5. So how else can we give them a chance to build this bridge? I can't talk enough about this. Agency and ownership and freedom. I cannot talk enough about this because so often in classrooms, at homes, there is a lot of control happening. I've seen teachers having seating charts at the carpet. So who sits at the carpet for the circle? I've seen seating charts at the table. Who sits next to who at the table? I've seen lineup charts, who lines up in line behind each other. I've even seen charts where who plays with who, like, you know, small groups, who's coming with who at which time. There is so much control happening from the teachers and the adults' perspective. If you think about it, and if our job is to develop 90% of the brain, but we're not giving them any chances to take safe risks and to have some agency in what they want to learn and how they want to learn, and any agency on their body or any agency in their environment, how are we going to get them ready when they're older? Because here's the deal. Every time you step in and do something for a child, because you do it faster, you do it quicker, and because it takes so much longer for the child to put their shoes on or for the child to dress themselves up or the child to do whatever for themselves, yes, of course you can do it faster because you've been on earth for a lot longer than they have. But the message we're giving to our children is, you're not capable, you're not worthy, and I don't have time for this, and I can do it better than you are. So if if we can allow some freedom, but with freedom comes boundaries. So I want to talk about that. It's not, this is also another misconception that if you parent with SEL perspective or you teach with an SEL perspective, that you are loosey-goosey, that you are wishy-washy, that the children are in charge and they're just going to tell you what to do. That is not what SEL approach means. SEL approach means you give them freedom to take safe risks with guardrails, with discipline. Children need adults to help them. Somehow we are either going one extreme or the other extreme. I'm noticing either we're giving them a lot of freedom and the children are running the house and telling the adults what to do all over the time, which they're not capable of handling because their brain is not developed for all that autonomy and all that ego. The other is we are so controlling them that they're not getting any freedom. So I'll give you another example because examples are all around us. You see, when I travel, content comes to me wherever I am. So I was in the plane flying back from my last trip to speaking at a conference, and this is what was happening. A couple of rows behind me in the plane, there was a little guy, and he kept saying, I want the crayons, I want the cookies, I want this juice, I want the windows, I want your lap, I want. And the flight to Alabama was literally an hour, 15 minutes. And this guy had so many wants, but clearly he was getting all his wants met because at no point anybody said no, and no point did he give a pushback. So we're about to land, and I hear him say, I want to sit in your lap. And the mom must have said, no, you can't, because then that fake cry came. That fake cry came very quickly. The fake cry that scares all parents and all teachers. If you're in a public space and your child starts, pushback's happening, you're like, okay, shh, stop. So the mom was trying to calm him down, but the dad stepped in, and I was really happy when he said this. He said, Levi, everybody's sitting in their seat right now. Everybody has their seat belt. You're not getting up. Like, this is not happening. We're not engaging in this. We're not going back and forth in this. He put a stop to it. And it almost felt like a relief to the child. For 1 hour, 15 minutes, he had done want. And all his wants kept getting met. He didn't know where to stop it. He didn't have guardrails to stop this wanting chant. So his dad, I was grateful for that. He's like, no, we're not doing this, enough. And then Levi just sat quietly. It was fine. So when we landed, of course, I had to turn around and see who this was. And of course, I had to make contact with them. Like, I'm an educator, this, that, And so I asked them, I said, well, your son, because I was still thinking about my islands. And I said, your little guy has mastered the language development. He knows the power of want. And the mother just rolled her eyes and she said, oh gosh, it's so exhausting. And so I can see how exhausting it is. Only 1 hour, 15 minutes with this family. I'm already exhausted with this want not stopping. How can you live like that? Right? And so then I asked them, how old is your child? And they said, he's not yet 3. He's not yet 3. He's running a family of 4. There's a brother who's 11 who didn't say a peep. This Levi ran the show. Look, you cannot give so much agency and so much freedom with no guardrails. They're not able to handle this much, but also not allowing them to express anything goes the opposite, right? So boundaries, discipline without killing their spirit. You can do it. You can be, I have a acronym for discipline without being mean, KLFF. This works for parenting. This works for teaching. KLFF approach: kind, loving, firm but fair. Kind, loving, firm and fair. If your approach is kind, loving, firm and fair, if you say something, your words should mean something. If you say something, then either you're just saying all day long, because teachers and parents will tell me all the time, I keep telling them not to do this and they keep ignoring me. If they're ignoring your words, that's because the message you've given them is, when I speak, it doesn't matter. This bridge is not being built because you're not listening to anybody. Levi has to learn that he cannot dictate I want for the rest of his life. My grandson is 1 step ahead. He's 2 and he's now mastered the word need. So he's realized that want is less and need is more. So he keeps saying, I need. And my daughter's having to work with him right now. It's all around us, guys. It is all around us, but it's not. If our goal is to strengthen this bridge, don't give in to the wants and needs constantly, but also don't be so dictatorial. There's a fine balance, right? So this one, we really need to start focusing and remembering that the work we're doing is developing this bridge and educating and not policing. There is so much emphasis on classroom management strategies. You have numbers of children, of how many numbers of children can attend every center. In the sensory, only 2 children can play. In the dramatic, only 3 children can play. This is how we line up. This is where we sit. This is what we do. All of this emphasis is happening on the environment. We are forgetting that there's a brain being developed. What attention are we giving to that brain development? What skills are we giving for the brain development? So environment is our third teacher. We have labeled classrooms, we have labeled containers, we have labeled environments, and the purpose of that is that children know where to put things back. But what I notice, the parents and the teachers and the grown-ups do all the cleaning. And when it's cleanup time, the grown-ups are the ones going very quickly and putting things up and putting it away and cleaning up. So the children go through their day not really using the third environment as a teacher, because if you wanted them to clean up, it could be a teachable moment. It could be a matching game. Find the container that this belongs in, but you're cleaning it at home or in classroom, right? I'm not doing it for you. Where does this live? Let's find this place. You do it. But we do it in a rush because cleanup time becomes just a stressful time. We clean up, we do it. Or I've seen teachers do this. Throughout the center time, throughout the playtime, they're like, the dramatic toys need to stay in the dramatic area. The manipulators need to stay over there. Go put it back. So that throughout the playtime, we're telling them to put stuff back. And so children don't know the difference between playtime and cleanup time, because when I was supposed to be playing, you kept telling me to clean up. Now you're telling me to clean up, forget that. Like, when did I play? We're creating so much frustration because we can't allow them to play freely. That agency and ownership on their play is not there. I'm going to introduce these words as well. Teacher directed or grown-up directed. Grown-up directed, grown-up initiated, or child directed and child initiated. Authentic play is powerful. Authentic play is therapeutic. Authentic play means the child is leading the play, not the grown-up. I've seen this happen so often. In the dramatic area, there'd be 2 or 3 kids playing, and along walks the teacher, and she plants herself there, and she says, what are you guys cooking for me today? What are you going to make for me? And the children look at her like, we weren't even thinking about you, lady. You were not part of our play. You just hijacked the play. We're not respecting play. We're hijacking play. We're policing the environment. We're forgetting there's a brain being developed, right? So instead of just hijacking play, wait for the invitation. Whether you are at home playing with kids or whether you're in the classroom playing with kids, just sit down next to them, watch and observe. If they want to invite you into play, they will, but respect that. Don't just hijack their play. I've seen even teachers doing it for the block area. The kids will be building something and they just take over. Oh, what is this? Let's add over this. And it is not yours. It's not yours. And again, that bridge is not getting developed because again, I can't go deeper in play. Again, you're coming and hijacking and you're giving me the message that you can do it better than me. So when am I going to have self-confidence? When am I going to have self-esteem? And when is the focus going to be on the work of early childhood, right? We have got to shift. We have got to shift our attention. And I think we really need to remind our brains the importance of the birth to 5 years. 90% of the brain is getting wired. And what are we doing to help it? Any questions, any wonderings? Are we good so far? I'm not keeping an eye on in the chat. If there's anybody asking anything, let me know. But otherwise, I'll just keep going. I don't have shortage of words. Can you tell? Okay. So here's the other way of thinking about this. So you could be a lifeguard in your child's life at home or in school. You could be a lifeguard or you could be a swim coach. What is the biggest difference between a lifeguard and a swim coach? What does a lifeguard do? Does anybody want to share with me? What is the role of a lifeguard? Did you just want to share?
I typically sit at the back of the classroom to avoid questions, but there's really, it's unavoidable at this point. Let's see if anybody in the chat has it.
Oh, you poor one. You poor one. So, lifeguard. What do you think a lifeguard's role is?
Is that question for me?
Anybody. What do you think a lifeguard does? I don't want to put you under stress, but
Dawn Miller, coach.
yeah,
she
she's
says.
preferring to be. She's
right,
preferring to be a coach. But you know, the lifeguard's role is safety supervision. That's what the lifeguard does. They sit on the side, they scan the beach, they scan you see my examples all coming from water. Can you tell? I've been close to water recently. So they just scan. They just scan. If you bring me back in a month or two,
Right.
it'll be different examples, because who knows what will be talking to me then. So you scan for safety. So I see grown-ups doing this quite often. They're just scanning for safety. Is everybody safe? Is everybody safe? And their job is done. They walk around, they just scan for safety. But when you're doing a swim coach, the difference is you're in it. You're scaffolding the children. You meet them where they're at. You extend their learning. You give them time to practice. You coach them through it. You allow them a chance to have a back and forth. It's an exchange. It's not one side directive. It's not one side, one grown up knows all the best answers. It's not coming from one side. A swim coach meets you where you're at, strengthens you what you need, and scaffolds you to the next level, right? If you can barely move your legs, then they're going to help you to make your legs muscles strong to do the next level, right? So if our job is to develop the bridge, if our job is to give children a strong foundation that's going to get them through their life, we need to show up as both. We do need to provide safety and supervision, because you can't do without that. When you have somebody else's child, this is their most precious human being that they're sharing with you. We do have to keep them safe, but we have to go beyond safety. We have to meet them where they're at, join them in their play, understand them, and help them to grow where they're at, so that we can give them esteem and confidence and vocabulary and comprehension, so that we can help them be their best self, right? So I think we got the concept of this. Did you like this analogy, Rich, compared to the island one?
I did. I was going to say monitor, so that would have been pretty close. You know, the whole what does the lifeguard do? But
yeah, exactly.
I like the
Monitor,
analogy.
Yeah, monitor, supervise. Exactly. It's so true. I'm really very excited to get this message out to the world right now, because I'm very excited that this concept makes sense of the importance of the early years, right? We've got some work to do, so that, you know, to be totally honest, the children that are under 5 right now, in 20 years, they're going to be in their early 20s. I don't know if I'm going to be living here or not, but they're going to be running this world. They're going to be running this country. Are we giving them life skills to be successful? Are we setting them up for success? Right? I cannot say this enough. The more we connect, the less we correct. If all day long we are correcting them, come here, don't come here, sit down, don't do this, say this, don't say this, use your word, blah, 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 blah. If all day long, all I'm doing is giving you directions, if all day long I'm doing behavior talk, there is zero connect happening. None of those behavior talks connect for the heart. From the heart connects to the heart. When you constantly tell people what they should and shouldn't be doing, there is zero connect happening. So there's a misconception. Some grown-ups think that, oh, I talk to the kids all day long. But what are you talking? Are you telling them what to do, or are you meeting them where they're at and having genuine conversations? Like even a 2-year-old, my grandson is 2.5. He is so happy to have a real conversation with me. Like he wants to have a back and forth, and he understands so much more. Even babies, when the expressive language hasn't come and the receptive language is there, they understand so much more. They understand your tone. They understand your intent. They may not have the words to tell you back, but they are getting the message. And so we really need to respect children, not pamper them, not boost their egos. Respect doesn't mean pampering. Respect means talking to them respectfully, but not spoiling them. You know, you can spoil children with materialistic things, but you never can spoil children with love. Did you know that? Love and attention, you can never spoil a child with. And children only want to please their grown-ups. And when they can't please their grown-ups, they act out because they don't feel connected to the grown-up. So they have acting out behaviors.
Yeah, Prerna, one of the and this is from a parent perspective, but I think just in general, a gentleman I used to work with when we were having our first pulled me aside and said, no matter what you do, try to catch them doing something right. which was like, because a lot of the times you're always has your eye open for what they're going to do wrong, safety, are they going to hurt themselves? But I've always kept that in the back of my mind, and it has gone a long way. So
It's so
yeah.
true. But again, that doesn't mean that we don't correct them, because they still need grown-ups to correct them. But catching them doing good means I'm noticing your efforts. I'm noticing what you're capable of doing. Yes, thank you for adding that value, right? It's so important we catch them doing good. I would go deeper with it, Rich. I would say don't just give praises. Don't just say good job. I hear good job being sprinkled like salt and pepper. Like it's just sprinkled on everybody. Let's just good job, good job, good job.
Yep.
And if you're watching as an observer, which I quite often do when I'm doing behavior coaching or I'm doing TRS assessments, I hear this good job, good job, good job. But if you watch, not a single child recognized who the good job was for, and there was no recognition on the face to show that I did something good, because it's so general. So was that to me? She said, good job. What did I do that was good? And they just dismiss it. So instead of good job, do PDAs. PDAs, positive, descriptive, acknowledgement. Describe what they did good. So Rich, you're contributing to this conversation, adding value to it. I appreciate it. If I had just said, good job, Rich, what would that have done for you? Right? Nothing. So notice them doing good, but describe what they did that was good. Don't just stop shy of good job and well done. Or way to go, buddy. There's another one, way to go, buddy, or give me a high five. But what is it? That's fine if you're excited to do a high five, but also describe what they did that you were appreciating. And so really our focus has to move away from all this compliance and obedience to collaboration and connection, because collaboration happens to be an executive function skill. But if we don't give them chances to collaborate in our classrooms on group projects, on playtime, how are they going to get this quality? Do they just going to grow up at 25 and is this going to come from the sky? Is this going to land? Now you can collaborate. We need to give them time for connecting, collaborating, team building, empathy, compassion. All of this has to happen so the bridge can be built, so that by the time they've passed the years 5, by the way, from 5, it's not game over. It's not game over. It's just like, oh, thank God our work is done. 5th birthdays happen. That's not how this happens. Birth to 5 is the foundation. 5 to 9 is where you need to practice, where you've laid the foundation. You introduce it, you give them time, and then 5 to 9 you perfect it, and then it becomes part of their DNA. There's a missing link, right? We have to go towards it. So if you are joining and you would like to download free resources, I have children's literature for building that bridge. I have children's literature for a social, emotional, executive function, for focus and attention. Download it for free. Get those books in your family. Get those books in your schools. Get those books in your programs, so that we can intentionally start working on this bridge. There are so many things we can do to help with focus and attention. And focus and attention is one of those things that children are lacking big time these days. They just, every 2 seconds, they just give up, go to the next, go to the next, go to this. That's going to be very hard for them when they get to school. It's going to be very tough. I like to give resources. This is a really good book to have, Breathe Like a Bear, because I talked the conversation I started with, breathing is so important. This is a fun book. If you don't have it in your classroom or your family, you need it, because you can apparently breathe. Let me tell you the different things you can do for breathing. You can breathe for focus. You can breathe for imagine. You can breathe for calm. You can breathe for energy. You can breathe for relax. Who knew? Who knew you could breathe differently for different things in life? So how are we doing with time? I don't have any idea. And if there's any questions or any wonderings, I saw Marissa pop up, so I'm wondering I must be needing to stop talking.
You're great. You're great. Yeah, that was an awesome presentation. And thank you for your patience. We had a Zoom outage right before our webinar started. So fortunately, a lot of people weren't able to join live, but a few of you got in, which is great.
Oh, that's
definitely
what happened.
Recording. I know. So like perfect timing, of course.
Technology, right?
I know.
So random.
So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for the recording and we'll share those resources that Prerna mentioned. So thank you for that.
Any questions, any wonderings, anything anybody wants to talk about? I'm happy. You know, Discount School Supply also has really good ones. This social skill cards that you could use at home or school. So this one says, you just cleaned up your desk before you went for lunch. When you get back from lunch, your desk is a mess. Someone emptied out your pencil box and scribbled on your desk with a marker. How do you feel? Why do you feel it? How are you going to handle it? Remember I said self-regulation has 3 parts. How do I feel? What caused it? What can I do? These prompts are beautiful.
What a scenario there. I want to go back to, I don't know how I would feel with that, but for belly breathing is what was done at my center. And they were able to bring in their stuffed animals and put them on their bellies.
Yeah.
And then do deep breathing. And both of my kids loved it because the stuffed
Do you know
animal was
there's
involved.
actually, thank you for reminding me, there's actually Elmo who does the belly deep breathing. So
Oh,
if you Google
nice.
Elmo belly breathing, your kids will go, yes, I've introduced that. And belly breathing with Elmo is super cool. Thank you, Dawn. You're so sweet. You are here and you are engaged and connecting on the chat. I appreciate you, my friend, sweet one. Yes, belly breathing with Elmo. Check it out, the video. Maybe you can share that as a resource, Marissa, if you find that on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a good one. See, Rich, you didn't even know how much value you were going to add. You were nervous about interacting, but you just ran with it.
I know.
See, you're a natural. You're a natural.
Just gotta go with it. You gotta go with it.
Just go with the flow. Go with the
Yeah.
flow.
I think we're, is there any other questions? I don't see any. Let me check. Nope.
There were lovely comments. I wasn't paying attention, so
Yeah, there were. Yeah, sorry about the Zoom outage. You know, we're gonna have the recording here. Prerna, thank you so much for your time. I think selfishly, I learned a lot as a parent. And
look,
I
you
will
showed
say,
up. The 90% of the task is to show up. You showed up,
Yeah.
so you get the knowledge. That's how this works.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to share this with a couple of my friends because
Beautiful.
I'm certainly going to take some.
Share it with your wife and let me know how it goes at your home. I'd love to.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna email this out, the certificate as well. Apologize again for the little technology glitch there. Thank you, Prerna. Any other closing thoughts, Marissa, Prerna? Any questions or leave you with this piece of advice? Granted, you've given us hundreds already, but
I would just say, remember how important this time is, and remember to have fun with it. You need to have fun. You know, a stressed out grown-up brings stress in the environment, and a joyful grown-up brings joy in the environment. So bring the joy to your children in your life. Play with them, enjoy with them. Childhood looks different these days, but children are the same. They still need love and attention. They still need guidance. They still need connecting from the heart. That hasn't changed. It just looks different.
that was excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, no. Yeah, enjoy the company of the children. I need to remember
Yes, that's
too.
my happy place. That is my
Yeah.
happy place.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Prerna, thank you again, and Marissa for putting us on. We're going to communicate this out to everybody. But if you have any other questions or concerns, let us know. We're happy to help out and make those connections for you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thanks for
everybody.
joining. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.